Hello and good evening, everyone. SP RGIP chapter is coming with a great initiative which will guide you for the better career aspects. And in this initiative, which is called Career Broadcast and Insider Perspective, we will be inviting field experts, and our seniors who have access in their field, who will guide you for related to the career related to the oil and gas sector, also related to the technology. So be tuned and make sure you subscribe the SPRJPT student chapter.
Hello everyone, I am your host Ayush Srivastava welcomes you all in the first episode of Career Broadcast and Insider Perspective. Today we'll know what data science is, how to get internship in companies like Halliburton, what data scientists do, how to apply off-campus scholarship, and much more. And to answer these questions, we have Mrigya Fogat with us. Who can answer these questions better than the data scientist at Halliburton? She was also the ex-president of SP in the session 2020 to 2021. So welcome, ma'am, and tell us about yourself introduction.
Thank you so much. Hi everyone, I am Mrigya Fogat. I just passed out from RGIPT this year and I joined with Halliburton as a data scientist. This YouTube stream is really special for me because I was previously the president of SP RGIPT student chapter, and I'm so happy to see how it's going and I'm honored to be here. Thank you.
Okay, ma'am, let's begin at the beginning. What made you opt petroleum engineering? What, despite having a good opportunities in the core, what got you interest in the data science? How you get started when you pique your interest at all? Tell us about this.
Okay, so it's nothing like most people in college, because petroleum is a very kind of offbeat career track. So many people don't have an aim in childhood that, oh, मैं बड़े होके petroleum engineer बनूंगा types, because not many people talk about it. There are very few of them, even though it's part of our everyday. It's all around us, but it's kind of a different niche. So for me, what happened was in 2 years, I prepared in Kota. I gave my JEE mains, JEE advance. And then while I was waiting for my name in the counseling, I went to VIT Chennai for my computer science. So I was there for about 2 to 3 weeks when I got my name when my name came in RGIPT's list. So of course it was a college to JEE advance and all that. So I came, I thought it would be a good opportunity, and my name came in chemical engineering. And then when I reached college, because in the admission form I had put petroleum as my first priority, because this college is famous for petroleum.
Yeah.
So I thought whatever it's famous for, I would like to opt for that. And anyways, I had seen a couple of movies where, petroleum where it was politics and all, was so intellectual, the oil industry. And it was also, I don't know, it was like an American movie kind of. Petroleum engineering is like that. So I thought that, why not? It's going to be different. And I didn't think much, honestly, but I just, the thought of being a computer science engineer was like they show it, like when we're in 12th grade, there's not much exposure to, the working world and all that. So I thought that a computer science engineer just sits in a cubicle and codes all day. And then I was like, it's not for me. So, I thought petroleum is like, you're on field, you're enjoying and all that. So I thought, why not? But then I got fully convinced because of my rank, I didn't get petroleum, I got chemical. So I went there. Someone had luckily left a seat and they said that we'll upgrade you. There was just one seat left and they upgraded me. And then I was like, but now I've made up my mind for chemical. How do you expect me in one day to change from computers to chemical to petroleum? And so it was kind of confusing, but then they told me that at the end of the first year, if you feel like changing, you can, but I never did. So that's how I got into petroleum engineering for your first part of your question. And then energy always not motivated me in the sense, but it was always really interesting for me. I was really inclined towards energy. I used to read about it. So as soon as I got into petroleum, I read what it's about. I found some of my favorite authors in petroleum, and the way they describe this historical industry So it's a global industry. So I was really excited for everything it had. So I never switched out of petroleum after that. Yeah. What was the second part of your question? You're on mute.
Sorry. What got your interest in data science? How you peaked that? How it gets started?
Okay, how I started with data
Yeah.
science. Basically, in our college, there is this committee. I don't think it's very active right now because of the pandemic and all that, but I'm sure you must have been a part of it because everyone in first year is part of it. It's called the Science and
Yes.
Technical
Yes.
Committee.
Yeah.
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 So that's how I started. I had some really good seniors. So, they used to teach me about first year, this is IoT. And it was so cool. Like whatever I would do on the computer, it would happen on that Arduino
I
board
remember.
and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was how I got started. And then of course there is a so I was part of this project in which it was very important to check the fire and safety projects. It was very important to get the fire data and all that. Data science was a really important part of it. And everyone was that everyone who was in that committee was like doing different courses. Someone's doing data science, someone's doing this and that. So it was a nice inspiring place. So and then we had this group access to this Udemy or Coursera or something.
Yeah.
So I said that even I'll use the group access, and I just started checking out some courses and all that. And then there was this winter school thing, so there were some
Interesting.
seminars in that. So I really
Yes.
like the concept of data science, like the things you can do with data. So much data goes to waste and all that. So I was like, yeah, this is really cool and interesting. So in my first year, that's all, and even my second year kind of, went like that. But at the end of my second year, there was this conference in college. It was the International Conference on Unconventional Resources, ICO.
Okay.
So in that, Halliburton had come to college. It was Halliburton. It was a lot of really, really good people who had come from these companies to our college, and they did some workshops and all that. So, I mean, Halliburton is a really Halliburton, Schlumberger.
Yeah.
They're like the biggest names in the oil and gas industry, right?
Yes.
I mean, so just for like the excitement of the name, I went and I sat in every seminar of Halliburton. So Schlumberger did not come, but there was Halliburton. So I sat in every session, and then I saw, companies are even this company called Reslytics had come. So
Okay.
even they had some really interesting work, and so like as for a student it was really interesting because we hardly knew anything. So I just tried to understand those things, whatever they were talking about and all that, and I saw that all these companies are moving towards data science, and they were like, this is the future. And what's more thrilling than working towards something that's creating the future,
Yeah.
right? So over there I also met the person who would end up being my mentor at my internship that year. So this was after my second year. I had applied to Indian Academy of Sciences and all that. So there was this research program, Indian Academy of Sciences, and they had, they rejected me. Like they didn't like, some other people from our college got selected, but I didn't get selected.
Yeah. Okay.
But like they say, rejection is redirection. So I was I felt a little bad that I didn't get selected. Of course, anyone would feel bad.
Yeah.
But
Definitely.
I was like, you know what? Now that I've gotten rejected, I'm going to apply everywhere where I can get rejected. So I sent out mails to everyone. I kept looking at LinkedIn. I mean, LinkedIn is a huge part of everything. So I kept looking at LinkedIn. Wherever I would find a job opportunity that I thought, not job, like an internship opportunity that I thought was out of my league, I would just apply to it. Okay,
Okay.
but that was all random. But then one day I found a post from a Halliburton HR
Hmm.
that said that they're looking for summer intern for the data science center in Bangalore of Halliburton. So I was like, okay, cool, let's apply to this. I already got rejected. What's the harm? I'll get rejected
Yeah.
again. Big deal, you know. So I did that and I applied to them, but I really applied properly. It was not a very random application. I really worked a lot on my CV. I worked a lot on my cover letter, and of course, I was passionate towards. It was not a random Like I think I made it sound like a whim, but it was not a whim. It was like, very planned thing that, I mean, once you get rejected, what's the worst that can happen? You'll get rejected again.
Again.
Big deal.
Yeah.
But at least you can try. So I did that and I applied to Halliburton very nicely. And I think I wrote a good cover letter expressing the work that I liked about Halliburton, how I got to know about the work they're doing. And I read in depth. I sent my cover letter. And honestly, I sent it and I forgot about it. Okay, this was how my, exactly like everything I did with data science before this was just, attending some workshops, attending some seminars. I never did a project. I never completed an entire course because if you want to get a certificate in the course, you have to pay money, right? So if you want to do the course without a certificate, then they let you do it for free. Right. So I did all those free courses, but when you're not paying, you're like, I'll just watch what's interesting and I'll leave everything else.
Yeah.
So it was like that for me, not very properly trained. I did have a few ideas. I read a few books on algorithms and all that, but I never applied them. And I think 2 months later, I got a call from Halliburton, and it was like a spam number, like 1120, something like that. So I was like cutting it all the time in class. I was like, who's this? Spam, spam, spam. But then the phone won't stop ringing. So then I finally went outside and I took the call after 2 days. And they said that you've been shortlisted for the interview at Halliburton.
Oh.
It's like, what? Yeah, for internship. What? And then they're like, yeah, and we'll take the interview tomorrow. I was like such a newbie at data science. I forgot it for 2 months. I was just busy, marks lane semester में types. So I, did not focus much. Data science was like a vacation thing, like on your vacation key, in this vacation, I will complete this course, like we do to make our vacations a little productive. So in the middle of a curriculum, if you're busy with your studies, you won't pay much attention to it. And our college did not have a computer science department, right? So most people were not into computers. So it was not even a culture. Okay, so I was like, okay, so full night I was sitting with data science books and algorithms and I was studying for my interview the next day. And they took my interview during the lunchtime, 1:30 to 2, because I had to give it before I go for class, because we have classes after lunch. So I thought I'd give the interview before class and then go for class. And I just gave the interview. My mentor, he asked me a few questions and I answered them all very honestly. I told him what I knew, but I also told him what I didn't know. I was like, he would ask me something, what is this? I would say, I have read about it and I know this is about it, but I'm not sure exactly about this, or I don't know how this works, but I know what it's used for. And then he asked me those questions, but of course he understood because I was a petroleum engineer. I'm not a computer science engineer or something. So of course he understood that. And then he said, okay, fine, I'll ask you some questions. I answered a few data science questions. I didn't answer a few of them. And then he asked me some geoscience questions, and that subject I was good at. So that I answered properly. And then he's like, okay, fine, we'll let you know in a couple of weeks. So I was like, okay, fine. It was not a couple of weeks. I thought he said 2-3 weeks. Within a week, I got an email that I have been selected for this internship. And that was the summer I actually very properly learned data science because my co-interns, like my fellow interns, Saloni and Bhavya, they were amazing at what they did. Okay, so Saloni is like this IT engineer from Triple IT Gwalior. Bhavya he is a computer science engineer from IIT ISM Dhanbad, and it was me. So it was three of us at the internship. So if they ever had questions about, because the data that we had was oil and gas data, it was seismic data.
Yeah.
So the data that we had was seismic data. So I would explain to them what that meant because I was core.
Yeah.
But they taught me what to do with that data.
Okay.
It was like a balance of, me helping them out with the core thing.
Yeah.
And more than them, me helping me out, it was them teaching me, how to code and all that, how to get your Jupyter notebook, Python setup and all that. So it was a really fantastic internship. Everyone at the office was beyond amazing in teaching us. I mean, Halliburton has this amazing work environment where you can reach out to anyone, discuss whatever problems you're facing with anyone. It was just not our mentor who was helping us, it was everyone in that office who would just, whenever we're working on laptop or something and they just come, or kya chal raha hai? Then we'd be like, oh, we're stuck in this and all that. So, he would take our time from his busy work day, this person at the office, he would sit and he would teach us the entire concept, help us out. So that was the 3 months where I actually picked up data science as a subject. It was because of this internship, because it was a project that I had to do. A thing that people could do in half an hour took me 2 hours, because to do that I had to study it for 1.5 hours before that. You know, suppose you have to apply deep neural networks to a particular set of data. So for me, it would be like, okay, first I have to start reading what are deep neural networks. What are the hyperparameters? How do you set your data? What kind of data is an input in that? So it took me, 3/4 of the time it took me to understand what I had to do, and 1/4 of the time where I applied it. So basically, it was like a learning and applying kind of internship.
Okay,
Yeah.
that was so cool. Then let me tell you, when I got the part two hosting, I was very excited and intrigued to know the journey. Now it's like cool. Okay, so coming back to the data scientist, can you help learners, listener, or whosoever watching this video? What is data science in very simple and basic way?
Okay, sure. I can try and explain that.
Okay.
I read this really nice quote
Hmm.
that says that, you must have heard this, that they say that um, data is the oil of the 21st century. It's like oil was the most valuable resource of the
Yeah.
20th century,
Hmm.
and they say data is the most valuable resource of the 21st century. So basically, data is the new oil.
Okay.
Okay, so data is the new oil, and data analysis is the new internal combustion engine.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah. So basically, that is to show how relevant data science is, analyzing the data is. So data science is basically the science of the, wait, I'll put it better. Um, it's basically having an understanding of the data that you have in front of you. It's like we humans generate so much data as individuals every day. Like somebody we text, some post that we like on Instagram. It's all that we're generating data.
Okay.
Okay, so what to do out of that data, to understand patterns in that data,
Okay.
to make predictions. But the first step is actually to comprehend what you can do with that data. That is basically data science for me, because I think that it's highly relevant, and it's just not now. It's like become a really important term right now, data science. But this is something that we humans have been doing, as far as I know, at least for the past. I mean, we must have been doing it throughout, but one of the first visible differences of data was, I think there was a plague in the 17th century in England, and the King of England said that go and collect the entire data of the people who are,
Affected with the plague.
suffering from this plague,
Yeah.
affected with this plague, and then, let's understand what we can do about it. So I think data science is like a preliminary step. Like there's a problem and there's a solution, but how do you reach the solution? It is by understanding the problem completely.
Initial step.
Yeah, it's not an initial step, it's the step that helps you decide what the solution can be.
Okay.
Once you see the data, you can understand what the solution is. So for me, data science is basically, comprehending what the data is that you have collected, what you can do with it, and it also helps you gather insights that you could not think that, this could be the relation. Because see, we humans approach any problem with some prejudice in our mind. That suppose someone got anything in life, we approach it with a little bit of prejudice, that ye
Yeah.
solution hoga iska.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
if someone's having, if someone has pain in their stomach, we'd say that this person has done overeating. We've
Yeah.
already had a solution in our mind,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But the computer doesn't have any such prejudice, right? So it will analyze every possible reason for that outcome, and it helps you see things which you could not see with a clear mind.
Okay.
So, yeah, gathering insights from your data, understanding what your data means. See, data science has a few steps. The first step is collecting data. And it's not as easy, Instagram has a separate database. Actually, that's the social media. Let's go into like a refinery or something. Okay, every equipment in a refinery has a separate database. Like today, machines are really smart. So, they have their own monitoring thing. In advanced, um, in advanced refineries, they have this, like each machine has its own, its own, like in an oil field. Actually, I'll come to oil field. That's what I know best.
Okay. Okay.
Sorry.
No, no.
Okay, so in an oil field, like there is a BOP, there's a drill pipe. There are like different
Yeah.
equipments that are monitored separately. So to get a full picture of it, it's important to extract your data from these different equipments, right? So that's the first step, collecting your data and processing it. The second step is to just visualize the data, to just see the correlations between different,
Mhm.
different attributes of your data.
Okay.
Just visualize a correlation between them. And the third step could be, now you see, okay, now this is the problem that I have. Which of these relations could play a part in it? And then, that helps you move towards the solution. So yeah, that's data science.
Okay. That brings me to the next question, which is what is the work of data scientist and what a candidate should bring to the table if he's going for an interview to the companies like Halliburton, Slumbers? Like, what is the work? What you do? What you guys do?
What is the work of a data scientist?
Yeah.
Okay. So right now I'm working with a service provider, right?
Okay.
There are two kinds of companies in the oil and gas industry. One are the service providers and one are the operators, right? So the work, the operator gives the service provider the task that has to be completed. Okay, like a service provider comes to drill, a service provider comes to cement the borehole.
Okay.
So basically, another like dimension that has been added to the work that a service provider does is making the most out of the data that the operating company is collecting, right? So the data that comes from the operating company comes to the service providers, and the team of data scientists that they have at the company analyzes the data and kind of presents to the operators what the data scientists at Halliburton or Schlumberger can do with that data, and why they should go with their opinions. So basically, what basically is the work of a data scientist is that, like I'm in R&D.
Okay.
Okay, so here we are working on the different kind of things that we can do with data. Earlier, the places where this data went to was like geostatistical softwares to make predictions that, using conventional statistical methods.
Okay.
However, today everyone is moving towards, you know, AI, application of machine learning in
Yeah.
data science. So traditionally, my work right now is to, apply machine learning algorithms to data and see, like, there are different kind of data sets. Like suppose you have a seismic data set. It would be like, what can you do with the seismic data set? It's like the basic thing is that, you can go with, understanding the stratigraphical, cross section below the subsurface. What kind could you make log predictions? Could you make, could you go ahead and, with the log predictions, can you take a step ahead and make the production predictions and all that? So it's like we basically work towards understanding what can be done with the data. We produce results, and if that is selected by the operator company, that yeah, this seems like a really good idea for us. We need this. It'll help us in making more informed decisions. So then they give you a proper task. Then you get involved with the operating company, and then they give you data in real time. They give you static old data. They give you old data of the same field, so that you can make future predictions on that field. So basically, the task of a data scientist is just like it is in any other industry. However, the amount of capital that is involved in the oil and gas industry is huge. So you must ensure that the predictions you're making is, you know, accurate to a
Accurate.
certain, yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, that's basically the work of a data scientist. And to this, I would also like to add that the oil and gas industry is very, I mean, the subsurface is really complex, right?
Yeah.
So what problem we're facing is that it's just an algorithm that these computers are applying without taking into the physical meaning of those things. So they're also working towards an amalgamation of the traditional uh, physical empirical relations of that data and the new machine learning algorithms that we can apply.
Okay.
So yeah.
Ma'am, one of the very asked question is how one should stay focused on developing non-code skills while taking your own academics alongside with it. It's just like you handle your academics as well as the data science thing altogether. Just how to handle this and how to improve it also.
Okay. One thing that you can do about this is to not make it a completely different thing from what you're doing right now, in the sense that when you're in petroleum engineering, don't like make computer science completely different from petroleum engineering.
Okay.
Suppose a person's interest lies in, like, let's just go with the data science example. My interest lies in data science, but I also really did enjoy petroleum engineering a lot. Also, it's not like I've completely moved towards a non-code thing. When the data reaches us, you require a lot of core knowledge to understand what you can do with that data, right?
Yeah.
So it's very important to understand your core concepts if you want to continue being in the same industry, because I'm still in the
It's
same
still in the
industry,
same. Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
it's important. So it's important to not make them, if you want to take your academics
Academic
and your
data.
extra thing together.
Non-code.
So don't make it a separate thing.
Okay.
Try to find a overlap between them. So for me, it was like, if I'm studying a particular subject, and like they do for us is that they ask us to make semester projects, right? So I would use my interest that I have and combine it with my core and present it as a project. And if you don't even want to present it as, part of your, like what I did was that, this was like my first experience with data science was at Halliburton, right? But that was completely core data. However, the next semester, I don't remember the subject, but again, we had to make, a semester project to get certain percentage of marks in that subject.
Yeah.
So what I did was that for that project, I picked another machine learning project for myself so that I get a little bit more practice of machine learning. It works for my grades. So it's really important to not separate it. And most people did that. The subject was, I think, geoinformatics or something.
Yeah.
And in that, they were trying to teach us coding on
Yeah.
MATLAB. So what I did was, and then he wanted a project to check our coding acumen on MATLAB. So he said, you all have to make a project. You have to make a coding project. So you can either go with your core or you can go to practice something that you're interested in.
Yeah.
So what I did was that I did this simple facial emotion recognition project I
Okay.
built on MATLAB, and I presented it to him. So I got my own practice. So it's really important to, if you want to take both of them together, then find some place where they overlap so that, you can carry both of them together.
Okay.
For instance, if somebody's interest lies in, you know, economics or something,
Okay.
some people are really inclined towards economics.
Economics.
So oil and gas has such a huge role in world economics, geopolitics, etc. So all you have to do is, combine them, see what you can make out of it, and yeah, don't separate them. I think that's the biggest thing. Don't separate them, and honestly, even if you want to do completely different, academics does not take so much time.
Yeah.
You don't have to put in like college se classes karke aaye, then full day you're studying that only. That's just
Yes.
stretching something. It doesn't require so much hard work to So just prioritize it. Why? Do you have any such problems?
No. Okay. Okay. So the next question is, if anyone wants to be a data scientist, okay, what kind of advice you will give, and how would they get started? When should they begin? When to start? We don't know. We just like going with the flow and academics and then internships. When should we start for
Then take internships that have data science in them.
it's not easy to get, man. It's like okay, how to get internship at Halliburton.
How to get internship anywhere, it's very important to be active on LinkedIn. I think it has always helped me. I found my opportunity with Halliburton on LinkedIn. I found my opportunity with Shell on LinkedIn, you know. And so be active on LinkedIn, network a lot, and don't network for selfish reasons. It's like the first thing you say to the person that you're networking with, is there an internship opportunity?
Yeah.
That does not really come out so well. Everyone is not at your beck and call to, give you an internship when you ask for it. So it's important to network with people whose work you enjoy. I mean, if there is a professor you really admire at XYZ university, get in touch with him, try and do a project with him, or just tell him that these are the skills I have. I really like the work that you're doing. And then get in touch with him. Or just if you genuinely have some queries, I mean, what always works is like a genuine interest in people, in the work that they do. Connect with people. They always have opportunities, and people in the industry, any industry, are really kind and very supportive to students. This I've seen. Whenever students ask, can you please come for a webinar? Most of the time they do say yes, if they don't have. So it's very important to network with people, to let them know of your interests. Slowly you must, after you tell them, and sometimes it happens that, okay, you're interested in this work, there's an opportunity over here, why don't you apply to it? So that's how. And otherwise, if you are interested, there are online portals that open for these internships, so you can apply to them. It's not necessary to go through college for everything.
Yeah.
So just apply online, make sure your resume is good, make sure your cover letter is good, put in effort into your application, connect with people. And I think these are the only two ways. Either you can get an internship with good networking, or just an application, or simply through college processes.
Okay. Ma'am, what a candidate should bring to the table if he or she is coming for an interview, just like Halliburton, what proper skills they want, what are the things they just really want? Ki, ye to hona hi chahiye.
Right.
Basic.
Okay, I think the most important thing is will to learn. They do not expect undergraduate students to be, kings of data science or something. They all know that, they've just graduated. It's their first, experience. So like when I interviewed for my internship, I told you very honestly, I hardly knew anything, and even my mentor knew that I hardly knew anything. It was like both of us knew that. But what he did know was that, this is what he told me at the end of the internship also. What he did know was that I was sharp and I would really be able to catch up with everything. I was hardworking, and he thought I was intelligent enough to, catch up with things. So the most important thing is like, an open mind, a will to learn. So these two are the most important things. However, if you want to get into technical skills that they're looking for, then it would be, see, certification really, I don't think it makes such a big difference. Like, because anyone can get a certificate. It's like, not anyone, I mean, you clear some tests and all that. However, if instead of certifications, you have projects, see, what a project does is that it proves that you have knowledge of that subject because it has been used. And secondly, it also means that you know how to apply that particular knowledge. You just don't. See, there's a huge difference that we study about drilling in class,
Yeah.
and when we actually go to the field and see drilling happening,
Yeah.
right? So if a person says that I've already done a internship, so we do know that this person knows how the equipments look. This person knows what are the challenges at the field in that moment. and this person knows how things are done, on the field in real time, instead of someone who just has bookish knowledge of that subject or some certificates. So something really important is do a lot of projects, do as many as many projects as you can do.
Okay.
If you don't get an internship, so like suppose you did not, you just said getting an internship is difficult, but there are so many professors at our college, outside our college, in India, abroad, who are working on the same subject. You can always get in touch with them, network with them, and I mean, do a few courses and then say that, this I know. I will be really, happy if you can give me the opportunity to work with you and work on the project, put it in your resume. So, when you go for your interview, it will be visible that this candidate has already, done this kind of work. So it's going to be less of a burden for us as a company to train him and all that. He already knows, you know.
Okay.
So even if you're in your third year, so just get active with LinkedIn, do a few courses, get on LinkedIn, tell them that I'm really interested in this field. And there's so many people ready to help. If they can't help, they will tell you, I can't help. You should contact this kind of person. You should contact him or her. So, yeah, just the best time to start is start as soon as you can, provided that you have an interest in it. There's no point of doing something you're not interested in, right? So just start as early as you can. I always advise that, like I did my internship right after second year. Usually people do, and I got my job based on the internship I did in my second year.
Okay.
Right. For third year, I got selected for Dadweiss, Germany, but I couldn't go because of COVID. So that was my plan for third year. That in third year I want to do a research internship. So just plan out your years. Always know what you want. That's very important. This is my final goal.
Okay.
So just start with the final goal in mind and divide it into the 4 years. And if you're in your third year, plan, target that by fourth year I need to be here, and map out your third year according to the target that you want to reach by the beginning of your fourth year.
Okay.
Networking is very important.
I'm so sure anybody who's watching to become a data scientist would definitely get motivated. And personally, I get motivated. I'm going to start it by today. Okay. So thank you so much, ma'am.
I hope I was helpful. It was
Yeah, you were.
I don't know, chaotic. It
No.
was like chaotic, oh, data science is there, data science is that.
Nothing like that. Okay, thank you so much for your insight, ma'am. It was very great to have you here. I'm sure anybody who's watching this definitely learned a lot. And thank you so much, ma'am.